I am so delighted to have today Tarla Makaeff, the copy queen and founder of the iconic copy course. I'm not going to shout out all of your accolades, Tarla. I will let you do a little bit of that introduction, but thank you so much for coming and joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me, Annika. I really appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So you are known as the copy queen, but before you became the copy queen, what was your journey like?
Yeah, so I started my career as a copywriter. I was an English major in school with a writing emphasis and a minor in theater. So I actually started in acting, and I happened to be in a UCLA Extension soap opera acting class
Oh my gosh.
when I met my future boss, who was a copywriter himself, and like essentially an account manager. And that's how I started working at marketing agency. So it was really very unplanned, but wonderful.
Nice. And you just fell in love with the world of copy.
I did. I mean, I always loved writing. And at the time, I know there are majors now for copywriting, but at the time that wasn't a thing. And so I'd only learned a little bit of copywriting in school, and I didn't really know much about it. So when I got in this marketing agency, and it's cool to be an agency in that environment, and then learning about copywriting, I'm like, this is really cool. Like, you can actually, this is a profession with writing where you can actually make money. Because a lot of people think of a starving artists, starving writers. And I wasn't making that much money at the agencies. Now, I'm not going to lie about that, but I knew that this was a path to eventually making more money.
Yeah, wonderful. And so then what took you out of the agency world and on your own?
Yeah, so basically I was working at my second marketing agency, and I just knew I was undervalued and underpaid. It was very obvious to me. The clients, they were making millions in revenue. I was the only copywriter at pretty much both agencies
Oh my
because,
gosh.
yeah, the first one, my boss had been a copywriter, but he wasn't doing copywriting. And I basically took on that role at the first agency, and I took on the role at the second agency, and there were no other copywriters. So there was only me and my boss, who wanted to be a copywriter, but wasn't one. And so really, I was the one writing all the copy. And I just noticed at times that she would correct the copy. And so that was something that was very I'd say triggering to me, because it wasn't like sometimes she did it, she did it all the time. And so I think I even started to develop lower self-esteem, to be honest. I really starting to think am I not that great of a writer? Because if your boss keeps coming in and correcting everything you do, and at the time, it was the time when they took out the red pen and crossed things out on a printed piece of paper back in the day. And so I just wasn't happy because of that. And they also had these crazy rules about being there totally on time. And I'm a little bit always 5-10 minutes late. I try not to. I know that's not the best habit, but it was 8 o'clock start in the morning. I'm not a morning person, and you had to be there right on the dot. And they would make a big deal about you not being there. I mean, they made a deal about you being there 3 minutes late, legitimately.
Wow.
It was just too much for me. And I'm like, I know that there's a better way. So what I ended up doing is I knew that there's got to be, I don't know where I got the idea, but I wanted to become a freelance copywriter. And I think because it was in my blood, my dad had been an entrepreneur. He had passed away when I was a baby. But I would stroll the book aisles. I was really into self-development and looking at business books and stuff. And I found this book, How to Become a Freelance Copywriter and Make $85,000 a year. That's not the exact title, but something like that. They've now since updated it to $100,000 a year. And I knew by that book alone, okay, it's possible to make more money. I was capped out at mid 50s in this agency. I just was really underpaid. I should have asked for more money. I came in asking for 45 or something, and they gave me one raise. And it was just crazy now that I think about it. And so I knew that was possible. And so what I did is I recorded on the way to work and back. I listened. I didn't record then. I recorded and advanced my affirmations in my own voice, saying I'm a successful copywriter earning $85,000 a year. I'm a freelance copywriter. And I listened to that for a few months on the way to work and back. I would just drive and listen to that on a cassette tape back in the day again.
Yes.
And I'm really aging myself now.
But I know. I'm picking up what you're saying.
Yeah, that's great. So anyway, so I did that. And then when I ended up like one day coming in and they made a big deal about the late thing again. Like I was there at 8:03 or something like crazy like that. And I was just like, I didn't plan on leaving that day. I planned on leaving, but I had not collected all my samples or any of that. I just had a last straw, and I just walked in the office and said, I quit. And she was stunned. And and I just was like, just what I said, like, I just don't feel like my work is appreciated. Like, I know like all the value that I bring, and and then I left. And then literally I made a phone call when I left. And then 2 weeks later, I had my first freelance gig. I made close to $85,000 the first year, the title of the book, working 10 hours a week. And then the next year was 6 figures. And the following year was like multiple 6 figures. And it turned into a 7-figure brand. And it was such a great thing, a turn of events, that it actually unfolded that way. Sometimes when you're in the midst of something, you're like, why is this happening? But it ends up being the best thing that ever happened to you. So that's kind of how I got out of the agencies.
Yeah, amazing. And the fact that I love that there was a book that had a specific dollar figure in the title, and that you're like, yes, this is for me. And then you were able to like far surpass that amount.
Yeah, I think because it made that specific dollar amount, made it concrete. Like sometimes you don't know what's possible. And if someone says, oh, well, you can make this amount. And this was a very well respected copywriter. I think his name's Robert Bly. And so I said, okay, if this guy is saying this, if this is factual, then I know at least I can do that. And so it's just amazing. I'm really big on manifestation and kind of the positive program you can put into your own mind, and like what a difference that can genuinely make to your life.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and since becoming the copy queen and building up to a 7-figure business, you've gone on to do so many other things. You are a digital course creator. You are a coach. You're an author. You've done so many things. So how did, I mean, I think like me, your journey was really organic. And so, you didn't go to school to be a copywriter, but that's what you became. And then you turned it into this beautiful big thing. So then how did you jump from that to everything else that you've exceeded at?
Yeah. So I think at one point with the copywriting, doing it full time, I was obviously writing a lot to make that amount of money. And then I had just had started subcontracting out some of the work, but there was like many events that happened. But I think one point is that I did feel like really burnt out, because I felt like I was writing so much all the time. So there was at one point that I just wanted like more freedom. But then my mom had a heart attack, and unfortunately I became a caregiver to her for 5-6 years. And then she passed away. And so my dad had died when I was 1. My mom had passed away in 2014. And it just really made me like realize even stronger than I already had. I already had a strong knowing of this, just intrinsically, that like life is short. You're not going to be here forever. You don't know when your last day will be, truly. And so why spend it constantly working? Even if you make great money, you are, if you're always working, you don't have time to enjoy it. I did enjoy it to a certain degree, but I was like always working.
Yeah.
And so I had always been interested in online business. It just happened that after my mom passed away, I did a couple other things. And then I was on Facebook one day, and then a friend was like in this beauty business opportunity. And it kind of like, I had thought about these ideas in the past and kind of looked into them, but it kind of reignited all that. Like, oh, I have the copywriting foundation. I can write the sales pages. I can write the emails. I can write the ads. So I have that foundation already, which is like the foundation of any business, especially online business. And so why don't I pursue this? And there was a little bit of a route to getting where I'm at. I didn't start off as a digital course creator, unfortunately. Like I knew about that off the bat, but I was intimidated, like probably a lot of people are. Like, how do I create a digital course? All the technology and all the information that you have to compile and put it in a certain order. And for me, writing a book is a million times, or was at least at the time, a million times easier.
Oh my gosh.
You're the opposite.
No, I just don't think a lot of people would say writing a book would be easy.
I didn't find it very hard, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But if it's not hard, you just start sequentially, right? Whatever your story is, you can put Post-it notes for like what would each chapter be. And then like you have the framework, And then I kind of organize my thoughts. What's a linear way of thinking about whatever the topic is? Some topics don't lend to things being linear, but when it's a business book, there's probably a linear format to it.
Mhm.
And then you just start writing. I don't know, writing comes easy for me. So I was like, oh, let me start with a digital book. And that's what I did. I modeled it after someone else I saw actually through a Facebook ad. She had a book on blogging, and I was really inspired. It was a $5 book. And I'm like, oh, let me do this, and I'll start running ads to it. And that's how it started. And then it turned in the digital courses, and it kind of went from there.
Nice. What, so talk about, what is the name of your book?
Yeah.
And yeah. So talk about that. And then also talk about your digital courses and what kind of content somebody could expect from those.
Yeah. So the book is called The Essential Guide to Your First Month of Online Marketing. So it essentially takes, this is for creative, heart-centered women who want to start and grow their purpose-filled business online. And then also my course to come later on copywriting is going to be for those who want to scale their brand with copy that converts. So essentially the book is for someone who's coming online. It's to solve a problem that I actually had when I came online. So even though I was this veteran copywriter, it was for traditional marketing, which those rules definitely apply online, but I wasn't familiar with social media marketing. I was totally confused. Like, what are the revenue streams online? How do you monetize? Like, I just honestly, it's almost like I'd forgotten everything I learned from copywriting, which is crazy to say, kind of embarrassing to say, but I just think it was like, oh my gosh, now what do I do? It was like, I felt a bit turned around. And I know, like, if people don't have a background on social media or any of that, they don't know, like, oh, I want to do something online, but how do you create like income? And so that is what I set out to do in this book. I set out to help start them from day one all the way up through like getting set up their foundation, so getting set up on social media. So like niche, target market, branding, creating your lead magnet and email list, funnels, copywriting. So it touches on all of these, obviously not super in depth because it's a book. I can't go into depth on all these topics, but it gives you the overall game plan. So you're like, oh, this is how this all fits together. It's like fitting the puzzle pieces together. And then my motto is that you don't start with social media, you end with it. So that's the book. And then the first course I have is a beginner online business course called Social Start. And that is basically the accelerated companion course to the book. And that course goes over what's discussed in the book, but to a deeper level, more examples. There's like a list of 150 resources there. There's a glossary, there's a tech resources, there's a lot of bonuses that are not included in the book. So it just takes the same book principles, but to a whole other level. And it's to get someone set up in 30 days. I just have their foundation. And with the course, you have a 72-hour quick start business plan. So like over a long weekend, you could literally go through like what's in the course. Like I literally lay it out, like do this, do this, do this next, and you'll have a bunch of stuff set up, so you can get this going actually pretty quickly. But obviously then online business is like a long-term plan because you don't just come on in 30 days and things start happening. It takes a while, right?
Yeah, but I think this is so important because so many women, so many people, but women especially, we want to do something that will give us that time. Like you said, you were a caregiver for your mom. You had a lot of your time was taken up with that. But you needed to still find things that, that satisfied your want and need to work and your passion on that side. And you were able to find that and then figure out how to make it more accessible for women to understand, because there's so much information out there and you can read this blog and that blog, and there's so many courses and you just don't know where to start. So one that actually breaks it down and starts with the basics, the things that we might not think about, because I think a lot of times we have that, oh, we have to start on social media. We need to start posting stuff. But if you don't know what you're posting or why you're posting, then what are you doing?
Exactly. Like that's what I say. And then I also, of course, I forgot to mention, I go over the revenue streams in the book, but right, that's exactly what's happening. People go on social media, they're like, I want to start a business. I don't really know what I want to do. Let me just start posting. And there's no direction. You're kind of starting backwards. But that's because we think of social media as the fun, shiny part. Like it's the fun part. It's the fun part until you do it all the time. And it's not fun anymore. But initially it's like, oh, this is the fun, shiny thing. Let me post all these updates, but you don't really know what you're doing. I experienced it myself, and it's crazy to look back. I'm like, where was this resource? Like, I still to this date have not seen anything like this, that literally this is a $7 book and I'm breaking it down for you. So yeah, I'm like, there's nothing more I could have put in that book. Like I gave away the farm almost. So yeah.
Nice. But that, that will all come back to you if it hasn't already.
Thank
I have
you.
no doubt. And then your newest endeavor, I don't know if it's your newest because you're still an author, you're still creating more courses, but you also are a coach. So you're helping on another level with
Yes.
women who want to navigate what they want to put out into the world and how do they create their journey.
Yeah. And, actually one of the areas that's most important. So, there are digital courses that I recommend, like as a monetization, that I think is great. That you touched on, like had I known about that when I was a caregiver to my mom and created a course, I don't know that I would have had time, but how amazing that would have been, just have something like that, right? To have the asset that's great for any woman. And particularly, let me just add, and this is just the truth, like we go through almost like a recession, like it feels like every 10 years, like we go through some kind of economic issue, and it's like you want to have these things ready to go, so you always have something that you can sell or promote, and a course is so amazing for anybody. So there's that. And then when it comes to the other thing I recommend is a people coach, because coaching is anybody can coach. Like you have knowledge right now sitting where you're at, or you have some talent that somebody could benefit from in the world. And one thing though that I recently just started doing with the coaching is that I'm now focused a bit more on mindset, but it goes a layer deeper than that, because one of the things is people will do all these tactics and the strategies, and they'll wonder like, why am I not succeeding with this? Why is this not working out? Right. And everyone's going to have a different tactic to teach you. Everyone's going to have a different way of looking at the strategies. And this can be like a common problem that I've seen online. And a lot of it is, for me, it goes a layer deeper than the, and this is from my past of manifesting 7 figures through the affirmations, that story I told you, right? And being in a positive place in your life. But it goes a layer deeper, and it goes to self-love. And so I really believe a lot of people wouldn't make this connection, but that in order to manifest, you have to have the right mindset. And in order to have the right mindset, you have to emotionally heal. Big part of the work that you should be doing when you're trying to pursue a business, because people often also flip that, and they do the business first and then they're not succeeding, and then they wonder why, and then they're like, oh, I need to work on my mindset. But I want to help you with that upfront, to clear any of that emotional garbage and junk kind of out of the way, because that's almost blocking you from being able to, then have the right mindset to manifest.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. And little disclaimer, I know you personally, we've had conversations about a lot of this. So I'm so excited to be sharing this with our audience today, because you spark a lot of joy to me. And the fact that you take something that you went through and you keep creating new things, because you're like, oh, if I'm going through this, other people are going through this and need to make this realization, or I had to go through this process. They can now take my model and they'll be better for it. Yes. And that's what we should be doing, right? Helping others like the whole way through our journeys as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I think we all are going to make mistakes, and we're going to learn from them and hopefully pay that forward to someone else, because that's the point of buying a course, that someone else has made all the mistakes. They figured out whatever it is on the topic, and now they're here to teach you. So yes, will that require an investment from you? But it's either money as an investment, or it's your time. It's either your time and you go through all the mistakes, or you pay someone who's already been there and done that, and you can kind of facilitate and quicken everything for yourself.
Nice. And you touched a little bit on, you have a new course launching soon.
Yes.
Yeah. What can people expect in that course, and when will that be released?
Yeah, it's called Iconic Copy, and it is an advanced copywriting course for creative female small business owners who basically they want to be able to write their own copy. Now, it may not have been the thing that they thought of when they first come online. They weren't like, oh, I want to be a copywriter, but The truth is you become your own copywriter when you have a business online with the sales pages, the emails, the ads, all the things I touched on earlier, or you have to hire an expensive pro like me. And I wrote for Hollywood studios and Fortune 500 companies, so I'm not cheap. So it just becomes a smarter thing for people to know how to do this because it's repetitive work. It's not like you write one sales page and you'll never have to touch it again. Maybe you'll get away with that there, but the emails, you constantly have to be coming up with new content. So you want to be able to empower yourself. And so that's why I wanted to create this based on my, 13 years of experience with direct response. And that's coming out in the fall 2020.
Nice. And what continues to inspire and motivate you to keep creating and manifesting?
Oh gosh, I really want to leave a legacy. So it's like, I'm all about leaving like an imprint on the world. I think we all have that special ability. We all have something special that we can give to other people. And we're really here to serve others. It's not just about us. It's not just about money. It's about the impact you can make in someone else's lives and better their lives. There might be someone out there right now who doesn't really know much about online business and they come across me. There might be somebody out here who's listening to your podcast all the time, regularly, I'm sure. And they're like, oh, well, I can have somebody help me with PR. Like there's all these things that you can, ways that you can influence people in business, but I'm also really big on influencing them with like personal story. So that's what we were talking about. Like I've suffered from depression, anxiety, and grief, and I've lost both of my parents. And I'm big on that because I think people want to be able to relate to other people. I think we live in a world where there needs to be connection and people don't feel connected to you if it's only business. That's just my motto. Everyone does stuff differently, but I really do want to put this out there because I want people to know I'm real, I'm raw, I'm relatable, and I'm just like them. I'm no different than them. I've had my own trials and tribulations, but you can get through anything.
Yeah. And you're preaching to the choir. I am all about that. I'm all about living in, as our authentic selves all the time and being able to show people the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things we went through, because that's who made us who we are today. And that's what got us to where we are. And those are the kind of people I want to surround myself with, And so I feel like when you put yourself out authentically like that, then you're going to attract the people who want to work with you that are of a similar mindset.
Yeah, and actually, when that's how we met, right? Because then we started getting those personal stories, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really like her because like I felt like I knew you after meeting you once.
Yeah.
Even though we had a mutual introduction, and I think hopefully you could say the same about me. And I think like you don't get that sense from some people online. Like you only get like, oh, I'm selling this, and there's kind of a wall there. And for me, I feel like there's more of a trust factor with people if they know more about you personally, because it takes some courage to put yourself out there and reveal some of this stuff. I don't have to tell anybody that I have depression or anxiety, but I'm not ashamed of it in any way. I mean, everybody in LA has someone.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have an online course. What else is next for you?
Well, I'm working on that copywriting course. And then I do want to, let's see if I should even say that, but I have a course coming out next year actually on digital courses, as well as like developing your own coaching program. Because I think those are the two paired together. Those are the two monetization models that I love. And I think they're the smartest because like I said, anyone can start coaching literally today. You don't have to be certified. I mean, it's great if you are, but you can just go out and start, immediately make money by coaching somebody, making an offer on Facebook, on a social media platform. And then, the course takes a little bit longer, but that is a perfect, beautiful balance. You can coach somebody and then you can say, hey, I also have a course that I can put into this coaching package where it also kind of, and you do this in your business, it kind of adds like some extra information to the coaching, or they go through the course and then you discuss that on your coaching calls. You can kind of have it, they marry so well together,
Yeah, they 100% do. And I'm using that model a little bit for PR and marketing. And doing kind of the same thing. I have an online course that I'm also going to turn into a book. Then I also have like set coaching sessions but related to that part of the world, right? Like my sphere of influence and like what I know how to do. But I think there are coaches for everything. And it is important to I mean, I'm finding the more and more I get into my now, I guess, I don't know how else to describe it, like where I want to be, what I want to do, how I want to show up in the world, I'm realizing how much more important it is to surround myself with experts in different areas that I'm not an expert in. And, you know, those are my, whether you call them mentors, coaches, those are the people that are going to help me get to the next level of success, and not just, you know, look online, try to Google things, try to figure it out for myself, not get very far, take 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah, yeah. And what people probably need to remember is when you're paying for like a digital course or a coach, they are helping you, especially in a course, it's in a linear way, right? You can, like you said, you can go to YouTube, you can find out pretty much everything, except for everybody has their own specific ways of doing stuff.
Right.
So you'll never find their formula unless they put it all out in free videos. And a lot of people do, they put a lot of their content out in those, but you're paying for the step by step. So you don't have to go, oh, wait, how does this go with this? And then with the coaching, it's obviously you're having like a one-on-one conversation with someone if it's private coaching, and you can't get that off a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how do people find you, Tarla, so that they can follow you, learn more about your courses, but purchase your book, all the things?
Yeah, so the best place to go is my website. I'm sure that will be written out somewhere here because my name is a little hard, but it's tarlamakaeff.com. And then all my stuff is there. And if you want to go on social media, you can follow me at Facebook or Instagram at the Tarla Makaeff.
Nice. And my last question I usually ask is if you have a favorite quote or mantra.
Oh, from my mom. Hopefully I won't cry.
Oh,
She said, after the rain, the sun will shine. And she used to say that all the time. She also liked to say the world is your oyster, but that is her specific, after the rain, the sun will shine. And it's just a reminder that, no matter what goes on in your life, no matter how bad things seem to get, remember past situations in your life where you thought you couldn't get through something, or I'll never be able to move past this, and you did. And you're always going to be able to get past your darkest day if you just keep going.
Thank you, Tarla. That was really beautiful.
Thank you.
And that is a good reminder to everybody to persevere and to keep pushing through, and you will get there. And work with amazing women like Tarla to help you on that journey.
Thank you.
Yeah. So with that, that's another episode of Your Brand Amplified. I'm Annika Jackson, and I'll be back again next week.